Hello, hello, hello. Enzo's already in the chat predicting what I'm gonna say. Oh, good to see you guys. Um, we've had a good few days, huh? It's been nice ever since the weekend, and we'll talk about it. We shall talk about it. Um, let's go. Been waiting all day for this. I'm on it, my friend. I'm on it. Giga Moon, yeah. It's been good. Um, made some money off your call on Twitter. Love to see that. Um, yeah, we'll talk about Bitcoin. We'll talk about like the altcoin market in general today, and then yeah, then we leave it at that. I think. Um, maybe we'll round it out with a Q&A thing at the end, but we did that last week, so maybe not. We'll see. Um, that good thing you didn't buy that castle. Need bigger castle after this pump? Nah, I don't want a bigger castle. I want a nice place, basically, and that's not easy to find. There's a lot of big castles, but there's very rarely a good one, and I've been looking for a good one. But it doesn't have to be a castle anyway. Just that castle I liked, but it is what it is. Can't have it all, you know. Nuked my account before this move. Hate to hear it, my friend. Hate to hear it. But yeah, let's get this thing going. But before we do, big shout out to WooX for sponsoring the show. They're an exchange. You should go check them out. The links are in the description. We've been working with them for a while now, and I only have good things to say, which is rare. So yeah, go check them out. Like I said, links in the description if you want to learn more about them. There's also a link in the description where our dear friend Cred kind of describes what they do, how they do it, and why they're good or bad or whatever. So yeah, go check that out. So yeah, let's get going. This is the monthly chart, as you can see, and finally, it's not a nothing burger anymore. We fully recaptured the entire down move by like in 3 or 4 days, which is wild. Typical crypto kind of move. But then again, we had the BlackRock ETF news, which I think are quite significant. Not necessarily because they're going to buy all the coins, blah, 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 but because it basically makes the whole space investable again for bigger players, right? Because we've had so much bad news and so much toxicity in the system that just kind of clears some air and doesn't make it embarrassing to be in crypto anymore. Not because this shit stopped happening, as in like all the fraud and all the stupid shit, but just because, I mean, there's a big player that moves in that everyone knows. You're going to have less of trouble just explaining, one, your investors, and two, like everyone in general, why you're in crypto. I mean, you can just say, well, BlackRock is trying to get in. We've been in for a couple of years now, and then you can just kind of be like, yeah, make your reasoning from there. So yeah, they kind of took out a lot of the toxic feel to it, to the TradFi people and to the bigger fish in the ecosystem. Now, obviously, that's still there, but it's not going to dominate the news cycle anymore. And it's probably also going to have an impact on legislation. And we've already seen like quite the shift in media attention, right? A bunch of TradFi people, bunch of TradFi institutions have like changed their stance in the last couple of days, or just in general been like a little bit more reserved, because we were the laughing stock and getting bashed publicly and non-publicly everywhere, and now people are too afraid to say anything because, yeah, the big man is in this or wants to be in it anyway. So that's an interesting one. The monthly, quite an aggressive candle. The next resistance 35k, right? And I got fortunate enough to get a position. I'll talk about that in a bit. in Bitcoin. Didn't buy any alts. Don't think I will anytime soon. I think this is pretty much a Bitcoin only move. You're gonna see a bunch of altcoins moving, but I think that's, I mean, it's just gonna be short squeezes because a bunch of people will short altcoins. But I think in general altcoins should be underperforming Bitcoin, and yeah, that's why I'm not interested in the altcoins too much. But we'll talk about some of them anyway. So yeah, the first usable time frame is the weekly here, and yeah, we had a massive green candle right back into that old resistance at 30k, and given that we've tested this so many times, I'm not entirely sure if I would want to be bearish here. I mean, I'm holding my position, but just in general, even technically, whenever I have a resistance that gets tested like this and then price immediately comes back into it, I'm usually not bearish. It just doesn't make sense. That said, it is the most important area on the chart, because if you look at this, and we can quickly run through this, I've done this a million times now, but it's been a while. This is the trading range that we were in from basically 21 all the way to 22, middle of 2022, right? And we had a false breakout to the upside, and then we completely broke down. And that was Luna blew up, Three Arrows Capital blew up, and then at the end, FTX blew up, right? So we had a bunch of really shitty news, coupled with the stock market just having a little bit of a downturn, right? So it kind of makes sense that it went low just based off of that. And then we started going back up again, and formed a range here, right? And we broke that range to the upside, and now we retested it. We kind of front ran my support by $200, $300, but that's not the biggest deal. I probably wouldn't have bought there anyway, even if we got there. The only reason why this even remotely started to be interesting is because of the BlackRock news, right? Sometimes we just have to, like, something is so big that you just be stupid not to, like, just buy in. Like, you're at the right time, in the right space, at the right time, and you have information that most people don't, and you know how people are going to react. Just kind of makes sense, right? So we'll talk about that on the lower time frames, like what I did and how I did it anyway. But yeah, I think in general, this would have broken down. Like, if we didn't get the BlackRock ETF news, I think this would have broken down. It would have gone into this kind of support and then shot up. But we got the news, right? And the good thing about that is that whenever this is the case, right, a bunch of quite sharp people were like bearish, were on the sidelines, or were even shorting, and then they got completely blindsided, which means they have to rebuy, right? Either if they're shorting, they have to rebuy to cover their shorts, or they have to actually get exposure, right? I talked about funds being able to touch this again. Like, imagine you're running a fund, you've been out of the market because of all this bad news, because it's really hard to justify to your investors why you're holding this thing if the SEC goes against all things crypto. And then suddenly, from one day to another, the biggest player in town is like, this is actually interesting, right? And then you don't have a position. And if that leads to a pump, you're going to be shit out of luck, right? People are going to be like, why the fuck? Like, why do I give you money? And how did you miss this? Like, you're focused on crypto and you missed this? Like, how? And so a bunch of people were scrambling to position, to either close their positions or get into one. Yeah, this is what followed. That's kind of my view on how this played out anyway. One, toxicity went away. Like, it's now legit to touch it again. And two, a bunch of people were completely not expecting this, right? And that's the perfect kind of recipe for a pump, because any price is going to be a good price for them. And that's kind of what we're going through right now. And I think we might, like, I don't think this is going to stop. I think the moment this is going to stop, it's going to be with a massive candle to the upside, where people just completely, like, FOMO the shit out of this thing, because this is the best fundamental news that we could have gotten while the market was very, very bearish leaning, and for good reason, like I said. So there's some people to squeeze, and there's in general just a bunch of people on the sidelines that are waiting for a dip to get in, and I think that could lead to a bit of upside, to say it that way. But yeah, we are at weekly resistance, but we've tested that a million times before. And now we're trading right in between, basically, that breakdown level. And I've titled this like months and months ago, actually, indecision zone. And you can see how like we've struggled with this. But given we have a catalyst now, I think we can break it. And then we can have quite a bit of fun north of 32K, right? I think in general, if it goes the way I want it to, we could rally and have like a spike into monthly resistance, which I think would reject us at first, but then we'll see how it goes. But I'm quite positive on this, even though it is at resistance, right? Yeah, the lower time frames, this is the daily time frame, right? And I personally, I'll talk about it after I'm through the daily. But basically, and this is something that I've talked about a million times in the last, I don't know, couple of weeks, is that we've been struggling with this support resistance level, right? Like we can see how it's been important the entire way through and how we accelerated once we broke through it. And I've been maintaining that the moment you break 27.4K, like that's the go sign, right? And you saw how this played out, right? This is where a bunch of people, one, get fucked because they keep shorting 27.4, and I saw a bunch of people on Twitter being like very vocal, like, haha, I got to short 27.4K again, like stupid bulls, whatever, not realizing that they're shorting into one of the best bullish catalysts we've had in years. What is the catalyst he's referring to? It's BlackRock applying for an ETF, and just Google BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, and then you'll find something, I'm sure. So yeah, we broke it. We fucked over the shorts, and we also have still, like at that point, it's not only short squeeze, we still have spot buying interest, right? A bunch of people are sitting on the sidelines needing to get Bitcoin spot because they don't have any, and they don't want to be the guy that looks stupid that didn't buy. So funding still, like at that point, was still very okay. I think it's still okay. I haven't really looked in the last 2-3 hours, but I think it's still okay, as in like spot is just holding up with this rally. But yeah, broke 27.4. That kind of made this whole thing into a false breakdown. And the good part is, like, we had that level tested so many times that yeah, you were bound to get like quite a squeeze through it. We got that. The daily is completely clear now. I don't really have a resistance. I don't think these on the left side matter too much. I mean, you could argue like 37. I don't like it. There's no daily resistance. This is some price price discovery. Let's just say it that way. Of sorts on the daily time frame, not on the weekly and the monthly, but I don't think there's much on the daily time frame that is relevant, right? So if anything, you can use the daily time frame to check for supports once this is over and done with. So yeah, that's the daily time frame. There's nothing there, which is really good because that's been the only time frame that we've been able to trade. And now there's nothing there because the high time frames took over, and because this move's just. So last week it was a bottom conversation, yes, but like that's the thing. Like you have to be very, very nimble in this market, right? Because like I said, I think this would have broken down. I'm reasonably certain. But the moment you got the BlackRock ETF news, there was chance that this was going to go up. And what I did personally, right, and this is just me personally, basically, we had this breakdown, and everything was kind of looking shit. And then the BlackRock ETF application got announced down here at 25K. and nothing happened at the start, right? And I was like, okay, I still want to see how the market reacts to this. I saw it. I could have taken advantage of it, and honestly, like, wouldn't have been the worst trade in the world. But I was just like, I want to see if this market has interest left, right? If people are like actually interested. And then we got this pump, right? And I was like, okay, there's some interest there. But I still want to see a little bit more. I want to see if this holds up. And we nuked and pumped again. And at that time, we reclaimed this kind of low time frame for our breakdown. And I basically just smashed it into that. Like, we came up and I was just like, okay, this will go up, and it will go up quite a bit. Because there's interest. People are not just like ignoring this. And two, it's huge news. The longer I looked at the news, right, because at the start you're obviously like, it takes a little bit to change your bias for like when you're trading, because I was like, okay, I still think this is going to go lower. And I had a good invalidation. I wasn't even short, right? I was just like, I want to buy above 27.4. Reason why I bought earlier is just because I saw the news, which changed my stance to at worst neutral. And then I saw the reaction to it, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. So I bought. It went up, went sideways for a while, and then completely melted up in the last couple hours. I tweeted, like, I didn't tweet about this because I've just kind of pissed at Twitter. Twitter's been pissing me off. People have been tiresome to deal with, but I was like, I kind of have to like at least say something, because I want to have people be bearish into this thing. So I was tweeting bullish things. I told people I was buying on Twitter in this area. So at least something. Don't really care about the clout, but sometimes I'm like, I don't want to have, like, if I'm like negative and then people short for a dumb reason, like that's the worst thing you could be doing. Like, if I'm not shorting, you should probably not be shorting if you're copy trading me or trying to. But I was like, okay, at least something. And then we went up. Would you expect a bit of a consolidation or slight pullback before next move due to the last 2 days? Personally, not really, no. I could see this just keep going. Because there's a bunch of people on the sidelines. Like, I've seen like a couple people in the chat already being like, oh, I want to buy this thing, where's the pullback? I'm guessing a lot of funds on the sidelines and a lot of TradFi people are thinking the same thing. Like, I'm just going to buy the pullback. And I think there will be a pullback, and it could go to 30K where we are right now. But I think basically, like, I think up and then pull back to 30,000 is more likely than from here down to 27 to up again. Like, that's just like 27, 0% chance, or like 5% chance in my head. I'd be very, very shocked. 29, maybe. That's like as far as I can see this go to the downside. Don't quote me on this. Like I said, I have my position from basically average 25.8, a little bit higher. Like, I bought into this close and into the next open. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, with my public trading account, whatever, I actually bought 29.7 just before the stream. So, or 29.8 or something like that. Not that I think that's necessarily good buy, but I think, like, in general, like, it's probably more up before down. But I wouldn't do this normally. This is just because I'm having fun and the account is small. Can you show how you would have positioned above 27.4K? Basically, you get a candle like this, right? And I mean, you can even look at it on the low time frames. You can see that this is gonna break out, right? And the moment this closed above 27.4, you could have just smashed it. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, basically what you're doing is you have your stop loss down here, and you have your target at monthly resistance, because that's the kind of trade that you're taking if you're being like not even aggressive. And that's a good risk reward trade. I know this kind of sucks to take because you had these candles before and it's already up like a bunch. But this basically just gives you an easy invalidation, because if it goes below that breakout, it's probably cooked. So could have taken that, could have like done anything in there. Like I said, basically, like if you're thinking about it, I did the same thing here, right? So I didn't do it here, but I took this. This is the exact trade that I took. I was like, okay, it's breaking out. I want to be in it. And we had this neat little fake out to the downside. I was like, if we go anywhere below there again, I'm going to be out. And then I took this. So that's my trade. And that's so far doing quite well. And this would have been the other breakout trade. Like those are both breakout trades. I took it earlier. This is the more confirmation trade, right? This is basically daily confirmation. This is 4-hour confirmation. There you go. I would normally, and this me being like completely frank, I would normally not necessarily take a trade because I like the trade like this, because I'm not really into breakout trading. But if it's news related and you have a breakout, I mean, I'm more than down. That's the top of that green thing, 34.6. I think that's where I'm expecting, like if this goes completely nuts, which I could see, honestly, I think that's where it could have its first pullback, where you go, like, let's say this does this and then goes, right? Pretty much vertically, because it's crypto. I think it could do something like this, and then come back up. So like that's roughly where I'd be looking to close this position here. Parts of it anyway. Yeah, that's 34.6k. But yeah, we'll see. I don't want to be like too bullish, too whatever. But it doesn't really make much sense to me. Like we've had entire bull runs based on people expecting an ETF, right? And now we have BlackRock, which has a record of basically 700 or like 700 something to 1, as in they've applied for ETFs and they've basically every single time besides once gotten it. They're very, very tied in with governments, like with the US government, and they're very powerful people, right? I mean, they're the biggest in the world. Their chances of getting it is like a million times higher than any other. So I'm not gonna fade that. I don't really see a point to fade it. No matter how bullish or bearish I was, gets completely wiped off. Like, why would I care about that? Like, this entire market was different a week ago. Now we have a bullish catalyst that is actually like not a meme. Yeah, don't really see why I would be fading this, especially given I've been maintaining that 16k is the bottom, more likely than not. And in general, like for me, it's the bottom. So whether I wanted this to pull back lower or not does not matter at that point, right? You get a news like this and you want to pull back lower, well, tough luck. You're going to have to buy, because other people are going to buy before you if you don't. The BlackRock news made everyone bullish. Once they pull out, would be bad. I think 18k at the bottom. They're not going to pull out. Like, I'm 99% sure that they would not be pulling out. I don't know if you've seen, what's his name, Fink or whatever, talk about crypto. But he seems very, very bullish on crypto on the possibilities. And they wouldn't just apply and then pull out. Like, it's not going to happen. Larry Fink, yeah. Like that's just crazy talk to me. And I mean, if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think they're going to pull out. Like, I'd be very, very shocked. Be the biggest upset of the year. It upset me as much as if it turned out that Craig was actually Satoshi after all. Like, that's how shocked I would be. So yeah, I'm not. Jess says don't fade the Fink. Yes, pretty much exactly. I'm not gonna fade him. And honestly, considering how big this could be, I don't think we're up much. Like 20%. Doesn't seem that much. Now, granted, we're up a 2x from the bottom, but given how TradFi has been moving, I don't even think that's much. The only problem that I see with all of this is that it's happening at S&P resistance, right? But I think it's big enough news that one, this could pump fast enough to just kind of, that doesn't matter. Like the S&P can be at resistance for 2 months here. Like just look at this. This is the monthly chart, right? And the S&P is at resistance, and it's gonna try. Like I think it's gonna have some trouble to get through this, if it's gonna get through it at all. But these troubles, I think, could take a while. Like we could just be here for a while, and in 2 or 3 months, because that's just kind of the time frames we're talking about when we're talking about the S&P. Bitcoin could be trading at 50,000, and then it doesn't matter, right? If the S&P breaks down, because of its resistance, Bitcoin breaks down too from 50,000 to maybe 30,000. But I'm down with that, right? There's going to be like 5 trades in between then and now. So yeah. But that's the biggest worry. But like I said, given the shift in momentum, I'm not too worried right now. But that's easy for me to say, given, like I said, I'm in profit. And if this goes anywhere close to where I entered, I'm going to be long out of it. I think if we lose like 27K, like even if we touch it, it's over. This pump is fucked. So like I'd be shocked if we went anywhere below 28K. So given that, I'm sitting pretty. Craig being Satoshi, yeah, it's completely not possible. But yeah. Do you think we're now staying in the 30 to 40K range? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I think we're going to go higher. And I don't think 50K is a crazy target, to be honest. I feel more bullish when Bitcoin pumped in defiance after the banking failures. I was sad that couldn't get Bitcoin to the 40s, but now that TradFi is here, we pump. Is the crypto? Yes, parts of it. I mean, it's just very depressing, right? And I mean, this is a great day and everything's up and shit, but the whole like BlackRock is in this, so now we pump thing is just the saddest thing in the world. This is the exact people, in my opinion, that kind of need to be stopped. But here we are celebrating that they pump our backs, and fair enough, right? Fair enough. For me, the whole like excitement about and the prospects of this tech have long gone out the window. I'm a trader now. I don't invest. But yeah, I mean, I see this as like it's investable again, just based on all of this. But it's not like the ideologist in me doesn't like all of this, but it doesn't really matter. Price go up. So yeah. Hey Doug, how did you flip bullish? Could you let us know your reasoning? On Friday you sounded pretty patient and unwilling to buy. I mean, basically the whole impact of these news kind of hit me. Took me a while. Not gonna lie. Like, it took me longer than it should have. I was like, at first I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, but we'll see. And then I looked into it more and I was like, wait, actually, like, okay, this is something. I'm not a TradFi guy, right? I didn't know, for example, before that that BlackRock had this kind of track record for ETFs, right? I didn't know. Like, I'm pretty young. I know about BlackRock. I know what they do. I know like their impact. So that was covered, but I didn't know that this is quite a serious topic for them. So I just kind of did some research into that. And then I saw the price action, right? And this is kind of, I mean, I'm not the smartest guy, right? Like, I'm just do my thing. But something that I can do quite well is just read the price action. So I was like, this seems like a big deal to me, but I'm too dumb to understand it fully. So I want to see what the market thinks, right? Because the market is usually not too dumb. And I got it, right? Like we got this pump and then we got the secondary pump here. And it came back into the range and I was like, okay, well, the market is clearly unwilling to push lower. And to me, at least, it seems like really big news. So I just aped while doing more research. And then while we're up here, I was just like, okay, this is going to go up. Both price action and further research kind of confirmed that. So yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. When Litecoin Moon duck, I mean, Litecoin's the one that's been holding, like one of the altcoins that's been holding up the best. I'm not bullish on any altcoin anymore. I sold my bags a while ago. I mean, I sold my bags before it broke down. And I'm not necessarily planning to rebuy. But yeah, we can talk about altcoins. Good segue to that. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about ETH. I think the more important chart is ETH BTC because ETH USD is obviously up as every other altcoin USD chart, which a lot of people have been telling me. They're like, "Oh, you're so dumb. Altcoins are up. Why are you like bear posting?" And I'm just like, I'm losing my shit. Like you guys should see my mentions. It's absolutely trash. Like I've low IQ. Shitty arguments, right? I wish there was good arguments made, but it's my mention's been complete and utter trash. So yeah. Anyway, ETH BTC, one of the stronger altcoin charts, still had 3 weeks of downside, pretty severe actually. And this is quite funny because I was like, I had a little bit of hope for this. I didn't have an ETH position because I didn't like Bitcoin. And then the moment I like Bitcoin again, the narrative was just on Bitcoin, right? So I didn't buy ETH, and by God, am I glad I didn't, because it actually never managed to close a higher high. So this is technically still in the same downtrend that I've been talking about. I was hopeful that this would reverse, but lower highs, and now making lower lows too. So this is still the downtrend that we're used to, and yeah, we're going to have to give it some time, I think. And honestly, I'm going to give it quite some time because this whole ETF thing, I think, is going to be the narrative of the next couple months. So I don't think this is necessarily a thing where I'm going to buy ETH BTC in the next week. If it comes back above these highs, so above 0.07, I will ape into this thing in a heartbeat, but I don't think that will happen. I think more likely than not, we're gonna go lower. Maybe we bounce on the way, but I think 0.0, what is this, 56, is more likely. And in general, to me, I'm still looking at this trend line, and I'm still thinking over, like in the long run, we're gonna either hit it here or higher up. The longer the time goes, the more bullish I become on ETH against Bitcoin. But I mean, technically speaking, right now, in my mind, we're down, like we're off of support by 30%. So yeah, there's downside of 30% at worst, and it keeps getting less bad the further this moves along, right? So for example, if we just kind of chop, that's going to be downside of 10% from current prices. But yeah, I think going into 2024, ETH is going to be a big thing. Might be earlier, right? But I'm just looking at this trend line. This is roughly where it's been going. And I'm down to, this is the same with as I did with Bitcoin. I'm down to change my stance radically if this actually breaks the highs and closes above them for real this time. But you look at ETH USD and that looks okay, right? It doesn't look great, honestly, but that looks okay. And it's probably going to break out if Bitcoin keeps going, just because it's very unlikely that USD prices go lower while Bitcoin goes up. But if you've been sitting in ETH, right, in the last 3 weeks, you just made, and this is not like a tiny amount, like from the close to where we are trading right now, you made 10% less. And that's quite a bit. Like Bitcoin's up 6% today. Like Bitcoin is up massively today. It's 6%. So you would have lost this entire day and a bunch of the last one since the bottom. And I don't know, like that's just not for me. I like to just play the narrative that I have. And I know that there's going to be altcoins that outperform Bitcoin. There's always an altcoin or 2 or 5. But if you don't pick the right one, you're going to get completely screwed over. And like, for example, AVAX is up now on the day. And people are going to be euphoric about AVAX. Because, wow, the last 2 days, the last 2 hours been so great. And then you zoom out, and this is the chart against Bitcoin. And I'm sorry, but this is just not interesting to me. Like a bunch of people that trade the low time frames, knock yourself out, right? There's going to be pumps left, right, and center where altcoins catch up the last hour or two of price action that Bitcoin has had. But I mean, this kind of chart, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. And it's basically, and Solana, for example, has been one of the stronger ones. I mean, this chart, I'm really not, I'm not interested, right? Like this is a downtrend, and it's keeping with that downtrend for now. And I think that's going to reverse. And Solana, like I said, has been strong, but DonAlt is a grifter. He never bought 25.8k. He said on the last video he wouldn't buy. Oh, we can actually, like, I mean, the thing is, like, I have a public trading account, right, where you can actually check what I've been doing. Let me see if I have it on this computer. And I mean, it's my fun account, but let me see if I can pull this up, because it's basically the exact same that I've done personally. I've just been taking it on this. Okay, here you go. I cannot log in because this is not the computer that I'm trading on, but this is, can I not click this? Well, I cannot click it, but you can just go on the Woo website and check the chart. I mean, it's such a dumb comment, really, because if you go through my Twitter posts, and this is why I don't post anymore, because I'm just sick and tired of people like this. You can just check, right? Just check through the comments that I made a couple of days ago, and I literally was discussing with someone in the comments that I bought. But yeah, anyway, this is the fun account that I've been basically mirroring whatever I've been posting and whatever I've been doing on my main account, because I don't trade with leverage anymore, so I cannot show you this on my main account, and I wouldn't want to anyway. But this is the last 30 days of my fun account. So if you think, and I mean, I can log in next time, show it to you. It's a bit stupid. I don't really care about the clout. But yeah, this has been the chart of that account that I've been trading. And it's been pretty much the exact same thing that I've been doing with my main account. So whatever. But yeah, I've been sick and tired of basically dealing with this shit. But yeah, here you go. If you kind of want to do these comments while not even reading whatever the fuck I'm tweeting about, there you go. I mean, it's just like legit, people are fucking stupid. But it's quite cool. It's a good way to show that like I am trading on Woo, because I mean, we partnered with them, and I've had quite the run. I haven't had a losing trade in, I mean, you can check, like click on it. I think it's been 70 trades and I haven't had a single loser in the last 90 days. Anyway, that's, if you're interested, this is my account. So yeah. Anyway, there we go. Like, I don't know, like, how can you watch these streams and kind of have that opinion? I mean, I've had losing days, losing weeks, losing months, even, but I've been as accurate as I've ever been, basically since the bottom. So yeah, I don't even know why you would be watching this stuff if you think so poorly of me that I would make this shit up. yeah, you shared that P&L like weeks ago and it hasn't changed. It further proves my point. Well, then just click on it. It literally updates every day. So you're gonna see it jump by 100,000 tonight if the market doesn't crash. Anyway, wasted my time on that stupid shit. Why would someone take the time to watch a stream and then call them a sham? He can fuck off. Yeah, it's quite funny because, like I mean, if I had like a very, very bad track record in the last few days or weeks or months, that's one thing. But I've literally been like this has been some of my best trading months since I started. So I don't really get it. Don't let it get to you. World needs losers who will work for our children's businesses. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Just hope you get some help, my friend, because it's quite embarrassment. Not gonna lie. Yeah, that's that. So yeah, I don't necessarily like the altcoins generally. There's gonna be altcoins that outperform. For example, Pepe is up 30% today, which is not great in my opinion for the market, but it's not surprising, right? Like these kind of pumps, like if you're shorting this kind of shit, I think you're out of your mind, especially when the market turns back bullish. This is gonna drop a shitload at the moment. The market turns a little bit to the downside again, but it doesn't really matter, right? Like, I mean, if you're shorting this, you're fucked. And so there's going to be outliers, but the general market, and this is always what I talk about, because I'm not talking about your specific altcoin when I say altcoins are shit, even though I most likely am, but I'm talking about the general market, because I cannot be like, there's going to be 1,000 charts, because I mean, if you look, let me quickly show you guys this. There are 25,000 plus cryptocurrencies at this point. So you're gonna see like a bunch of just ones that are good. But if you check here, the market versus, why is this not working? Whatever, we're gonna do it like this. This, if you, well, coin market cap being not great. Oh yeah, let's go here and do it there. Okay, there we go. This is coin market cap of the coins versus Bitcoin, right? So basically, the denominator, and you can choose this up here, is Bitcoin. And I've been saying, like, and this is kind of like, because I get this a lot, so I wanna talk about it. Like, I get a bunch of people being like, you said altcoins were gonna do poorly, but PIP is up 30%, right? And this is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about every single altcoin, because that's never gonna be the case. But in the last 7 days, ETH has lost 7%. And I mean, Tether obviously down, because I mean, Bitcoin went up. BNB down 12 against Bitcoin, right? And this is the list against Bitcoin. The first altcoin that is up in the last 7 days is Bitcoin Cash. And that's basically because it's going to get listed on these exchanges. And then the next one is Aptos, down at 34. So like everything else is down against Bitcoin. And there's going to be catch-up plays, and there's going to be times where they bounce. But in general, like I'm talking about like the broad altcoin market, and that has been proven true so far. Now, obviously, people that call Pepe are gonna call me a dumbass, but is what it is. I cannot make everyone happy, I guess. And people are always gonna be like finding the one outlier and then coming to me and being like, "You did some dumb shit." But yeah. Donzi, do you buy any altcoins, or are you Bitcoin only right now? I'm only Bitcoin, and I will be for a while, I think. I don't really see a reason to get the altcoins. Besides something like this, but I'm not too interested in gambling on the one that's gonna go up. I'm more interested in getting a good position on Bitcoin for what's to come if it's gonna do what I want it to. So yeah. Don, are you planning to sell 35K? I'm gonna take some profit if we get there, but if, and this is a big if, nothing is guaranteed, obviously. Like, I mean, the guy, there was like, BlackRock's just gonna pull back whatever, their proposal, whatever. While I think that is very, very unlikely, like nothing's impossible, right? Like you do have to think about like unlikely scenarios, and you cannot just be like, hey, I'm 100x leverage long. This is gonna go to infinity. That's not how it works. So yeah. But yeah, the funniest thing about like these people that kind of call me like a fraud because you cannot buy the bottom and sell the top so often. It's quite funny. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a good compliment and I appreciate it. It's just coming from a bad place. Because if someone thinks that I'm fraudulent because I'm buying the bottoms and the tops and selling the tops too much, I mean, by God, I'll take it. It's a good problem to have. What if they get rejected? They're not going to get rejected anytime soon, I think, even if they get rejected. So we have like 5-6 months. And like I said, their track record is basically they've never been rejected besides once. So it's not necessarily the likeliest one to be rejected. I think, and this is my personal opinion, and I'm not really qualified, but I think they wouldn't make the proposal without having talked with the SEC. And without basically having the go-ahead from higher places, because they wouldn't want to embarrass themselves going into, I mean, what you have to think about, right? Just think about it for a second. Like, this is a joke asset class right now. They've been getting sued left and right by the SEC, like crypto has. The biggest players have blown up 1 million times. And now you're the biggest money managing fund, whatever, in the world. Like, why would you publicly get close to any of that like burning pile of garbage if you didn't have any assurances that you wouldn't basically embarrass yourself? I don't live in a world where that's possible. Like I don't know, like why would they do this? Like just doesn't make any sense to me. Now obviously can still be the case. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I'm pretty sure there's been backroom talks where they basically have way more prepared than you'd think. Like I cannot live in a world where they embarrass themselves like this. And I mean this is how like your fund manager from like whatever your fund manager that manages the neighborhood's kids kind of money kind of behavior, right? Like you apply for something and you just hope it works out. It's not okay. This is the biggest player in the world. Doing something like it's just completely different scale. I don't think they do stuff like this. I mean, I know that they don't do stuff without thinking about it. This has to go through like 1 million processes to even get to the public. So yeah, I think like just thinking everyone is incompetent is easy given how like the governments around the world have been acting in the last few years, but this is big companies we're talking about. I'd be shocked if they did it in a half-hearted kind of fashion. But we'll see. Clown world in the last few years, so maybe that will carry on. But to me, it just doesn't make sense. Don, is there a way to copy trade your UX account? No. And I'm most likely gonna make it private again because this is just gonna like be another headache. But yeah, I've just been having fun basically because I cannot trade leverage personally. So this is like a way because I can only trade spot leverage, right? It's the only thing that doesn't get me fucked tax wise, and the liquidity is just shit there. as in just wouldn't want to play in that kind of market with like size. So this is kind of the only way for me to do it, and it's been fun. But it's not something that I'm gonna continue forever. I'm just having some fun. Kind of basically tailing my own moves, which I've like basically I'm copy trading myself, and with that account, just adding 3x leverage on everything I do. So that's been quite fun, but yeah, the bigger the size gets there, the less it makes sense. That's what that's where you just trade spot basically. It might as well, like the whole like leverage trading in a shitty market, especially when I start trading altcoins, it's just not my thing. So yeah, don't expect too much to see from that account. It's just it's funny because it's the only way I can publicly prove that I've actually been taking the trades. And the guy actually saw it too and was like, doesn't even understand the shit that he's looking at. Whatever. DonAlt, what price point would you consider we are back in the bull market? I think, I mean, my gut feeling right now, and this has been the reason why I've bought, is basically that this will probably turn into at least something that has potential to go into the 50Ks. This whole news thing. So technically now, but it's not kind of confirmed yet. And confirming would be closing above 32K on the weekly time frame. And then I think we can basically, and I mean, the bull market title is really useless at the end of the day, because I think we're going to be in between 30 to 60K for a while if we get back into this range. So yeah, you're going to be in a bull market, but yeah, you could go from 60 to like 40K again, or maybe even 30K. So technically, the moment this flips into a bull market, you've already missed like a large chunk of all of it. This is why like the whole titling things doesn't really help you too much. It's the same with like, if we drop below 20K, we would have been in bear market, but would we have gone below 10K? Probably not. So you missed out on like 90% of the move already. So titling these doesn't really help you too much. Don, how did you learn to trade like this? Do you recommend any books? No. I think you just have to trade. Just go and trade. Watch people, watch what they do. But I mean, honestly, like saying that, I mean, even the content that I put out, right? And I'm trying to like give as much as I can. It's just parts of it, right? Because I cannot give everything. Because I just don't think it's smart. It's not like I'm getting like money from this. So I'm giving away most. I'm giving away the way I think, but I think that's as close as you can get anyway. But I cannot like share everything, as in like, okay, how do I execute? Why do I execute? Like exactly how I am executing that kind of stuff. You just have to figure out yourself, right? And most of the content on Twitter and YouTube is just kind of garbage, in my opinion. So the best thing you can do for yourself is just, I think the most important part is thinking logically, right? For example, like this whole BlackRock thing, I think this is just like a very logical thing to trade, right? It's a big narrative. You can kind of, in your head, you have to think, okay, how big is this? And then you have to kind of just put it into categories. Like, okay, this is just like a minor thing. This is big news. This is like medium-sized news. And then you check, okay, is the market responding to it? Like that's just a very logical thing to do, right? Because if the market is very weak on good news, or like semi-good news, like news that in a bull market would move the market a shitload, but in the bear market don't have to. If the market doesn't move when those news come out, well, the market is probably weak, right? And the same thing is the other way around. And you just try to think about the market logically. That's the most important part, right? Whether you use horizontals or diagonals or whatever on the chart, not as important in my opinion. The most important thing is just think about it logically, what makes sense. And then once you have that, you can introduce tools. You can look at like funding. You can look at horizontals. I think like high time frame horizontals almost always work. they will help you in your decision making, but the logic has to be there. And then you obviously also have to think about risk management. Like, you don't want to bet everything every single time, because even if you're the greatest trader, there's going to be a time where you're going to start losing. And if you bet everything every single time, you might become very rich very fast, but then you will lose all of that in the next trade. So like, once you have all of those three things, like you have decent risk management, you know when to go hard and when to stay soft. That sounded stupid, but I'll take it. Once you have that a little bit tuned in and you have your logic, the rest just comes, or doesn't. Like, I don't think everyone should be trading. To be quite frank, like, I think most people shouldn't be trading. But if you have like a little bit of a knack for it, and if you have an interest in thinking logically, and you kind of know how to think logically, then go ahead. If that's something that you hate, right, in general, like you just don't like to think, I think trading is very much not for you. It's a giant puzzle in my head anyway. Like, that's how I think about it. And then sometimes the puzzle pieces just kind of fit together, and then you can take a trade and you can take it aggressively. And sometimes it fits together, but like a little bit wonky. And then you take the trade the same way, just a little bit less aggressive. And sometimes they just don't fit at all. And you're like, I'm not going to take any trade. I'm just going to sit out. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think you can learn that from books. The only thing that you can realistically learn from books is risk management. But even that is a little bit skewed. But that's at least a good way to think about the market. Don, do you track any big wallets? No, I don't. I have so many friends in so many chat groups that do this shit that even if I tracked them myself, I would be slower. So no, I don't. And I don't really care either, most of the time. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I legitimately think that as long as you're thinking logically and don't get like pulled into some stupid indicator shit or some like magic guru kind of shit, there's a way to make this into like something that normal people can do. But you have to be like skeptical. Like, if you're falling for every single guy that sells you an indicator or gets you a bot or whatever, like a trading bot, like, that's just not enough critical thinking. And like you're not thinking logically at that point. And if that's something that keeps happening to you, you keep getting scammed. I don't think that's necessarily the mindset or like the right kind of framework to be a trader with, because basically I look at the market and I'm like, how are they trying to scam me? And if you're one that always falls for the scam, I mean, you're probably going to get scammed in the market too. So yeah. How many trades do you take a month? It very much depends. Sometimes none, sometimes 5, sometimes 10. Very much depends whether I think I have edge or not. I have PTSD from trading, so no, I just hold. I think that's very, very sensible. But like I said, most people I don't think should be trading. You just pick whatever you like and then you invest. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Any other questions? Like I said, your altcoins, I think across the board don't look so good. There's a few outliers. I mean, Pepe 30%, that's quite hilarious. But everything else just boring, dead. How do you stop yourself from selling too early? I don't. Have you seen my feed? Oh, I'm well known for selling too early. I think I've bought every single bottom of since like 2017. Like every single, very close to the bottom, and almost every single time I sold too early. As in, I will sell too early almost every time. Like this rally, I sold 30 point something K. That was quite nice. But yeah, there's gonna be like this rally is gonna end in me selling too early. Just how I trade, and I don't really care. Like I said, if I cared more about these assets, all of them, I would probably care. Like, and then I couldn't be probably trading them. because then I'd be like, oh shit, what if it goes to 150,000 now? Me personally, I just think, okay, I mean, is this a good trade or not? And if it's trading at 50,000, I'm gonna be able to take a trade. If I think it's gonna go to 60,000, the same way I can take a trade from 100,000 to 110. Even if I didn't ride it from 50 to 100. Like, I really don't care, especially at this point. I'm just like, if there's a good trade, I'm going to take the trade. As long as I make more dollars doing that trade, I'm more than down with it. So, yeah. Anyway, hope you guys didn't mind that the show got a little bit derailed. Felt like dealing with that person. So I don't get left alone next time. But yeah, appreciate you guys coming by. Big love. Hope I've been helpful in any case. It's been a good few weeks, 2 months. It's been a little bit boring the last few weeks, but I mean, this week made up for it. But yeah, appreciate you guys coming by. As always, hanging out, doing the usual shit. And yeah, I'll be around on Friday with Cred, and as usual next week on Wednesday. So yeah, big shout out also to Woo, the sponsor of the show. Go check them out. I mean, a bunch of people have asked about the leaderboard. It's on their website. So yeah, maybe you want to kind of dethrone me. I think there's more chances than not, especially given this is a spot trading account. So basically, and I started with not too much, so it's gonna be hard to multiply this. So dethrone me if you want, but if you do dethrone me, do it on my ref link, please, because that would just be kind. If you embarrass me publicly by dethroning me. But yeah, appreciate you guys coming by. Have a nice evening, day, whatever, and don't get completely fucked by this market. I think it's gonna go up, but don't get chopped up in between or whatever, and don't blindly trust my gut feeling of is it gonna go up or not anyway, because I can be wrong, and I will be hilariously wrong at some point. Again, it's just been a while, and the longer it goes, the more of a feeling I have that this hot streak will not last. So don't bet everything on my gut feeling or on my setups. Make your own. I think that's always better. So yeah, appreciate you guys coming by. See you next time. Bye bye.